Hi guys, I'm Angie. I'm doing day 3 of my blog and we're still on the subject of cooking, and I thought long and hard about what I was going to talk about tonight. Last night I did mashed potatoes, which is an American staple, so I thought, well, being on the same subject, let's think about what most Americans eat. We really love hot dogs and hamburgers and pizza and all these things, but you know what I really like is fried chicken, and it is not an easy task to cook. If you drive through KFC or Popeyes, it's going to cost you $20, $30 for a meal for your family. And I know that if you make it yourself, you can save yourself a lot of money and make it the way that you like it. So what I normally do is I buy an 8-piece chicken that's already, cut up for me, and then I make a brine. This is super important because there's nothing worse than buying chicken and having really, really good breading, and then you bite into it and it's super dry, has no flavor. You can prevent that by making a brine, which is just salt water, and you soak that 8-piece chicken that you have into that brine overnight so that when you're ready to bread it, you're going to have a juicy, flavorful chicken. So after your chicken is marinated, what I like to do is kind of have like 3 different bowls. I have 3 eggs that I beat up, add just a splash of milk and a little bit of Tabasco. So I set that aside, and then I have a bowl, probably 2 cups of flour, and I like to add Lari salt, black pepper, a little bit of garlic salt. Set that aside, and then I have some panko breadcrumbs. You want to make sure that your fryer is really hot, and I would say to the highest you can, 375 or 400, because what happens is if you try to do that too low of a heat, it traps in that oil and it gets really greasy. This also happens if you try to overcrowd your fryer. If you try to put all 8 pieces in there, you have a good chance of that temperature dropping. And so it's just not going to cook nice and crispy and juicy the way that you want it to. So I would recommend, cooking 3-4 pieces at a time. And maybe you might have to do like 3-4 batches for this. So I dip my chicken into the egg mixture. I also dip it into the flour, shake that off. I dip it back into the egg, and then I dip it into the panko breadcrumbs, and I shake off the excess. And then I cook it for, I would say, you want to give it a good 10 to 15 minutes, closer to 15. That way you know that you're having a fully cooked product. And this is going to be really nice and juicy. It's going to be crispy on the outside. You're going to have really good flavor. And then you can pair it with the mashed potatoes I talked about last night, or whatever you like with your fried chicken. You can do the same thing if you don't like bone-in chicken. You can do this with chicken tenders. It'll work out the same way. And you're going to guarantee to love the product. So if you have any questions for me about this recipe or any other recipe, you can always hit me up on Facebook. Thanks for listening.